In a world that's bright, come take a seat on the beam. We gather where laughter meets. Every Tuesday's a trip. Come share your flair. In this warm embrace, there's love everywhere. Talk it out, all vibes alright. Nobody's wrong in our light tonight. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. From stories of pride to journeys of heart, we celebrate life, each unique part. A safe haven here, where spirits soar free. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. Let the colors shine bright in the warmth of the night. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. Let the colors shine bright in the warmth of the night. So join us in this cozy space. We're talking it out, with love we embrace. No topics too bold, no dreams out of reach. Together we rise, that's the joy that we teach. With each word we share, we bring the light. Join the talk show, let your heart take flight.
Hey guys, it's SayCo Alford from the SayCo Show. I hope you're doing great. Today we went to Nashville Pride Festival and it was phenomenal, guys. Gosh, has it grown. There were so many folks there. It was a really cool location, once again, Bicentennial Mall Park, right by the capital of Nashville, Tennessee. And then we were really shocked at how many people were there. I mean, vendors everywhere, but people as well. It was just so heartwarming to be there and be a part of it. And so we got invited by some friends. We weren't really planning on going, but it was definitely on our calendar. And I wasn't going to fly after all today. And so a buddy of mine called and said, well, why don't you come down here? I'm already going to, watch the parade. And so we just took our time because, that first flood of people, it's kind of chaotic. So we wanted the parade to happen and that first flood of people to get into the park. And we just took our time. So we hit the ATM and actually grabbed some food prior and drove down there. We always have this specific place that we go and park, and we did it again this year. And walked over. And even though the humidity was out of control, I think Nashville right now is under a heat wave warning as far as heat and humidity. And so we got there and I was pretty wet already. And so met our friend and just started walking around. We went and saw, some of the sights, grabbed some food. Our friend had already eaten at this Greek food truck. And so I said, you know what, that sounds good, and you enjoyed it, let's go there. So we looked for some of our friends acquaintances that have food trucks. They were not there. Our neighbor that has these bowls that are really good that everyone talks about. So our neighbor was there. But yeah, so we walked around, we ate. They had water, purified filtered water stations all over. So what we did is we always read the question and answers before we go to anything. And so we went to the website and got the rundown, and it was saying that if you're going to bring bags, that they have to be small, a certain size, clear, is a good thing. And so I have a clear backpack, and so we just filled it up with everything they said to bring, an umbrella, phone charger, sunscreen, etc., etc. And so we just packed that bag and took that with us, and we walked through. They wanted to scan my bag and make sure everything was okay. The place seemed very well put together, very organized. The whole festival seemed very organized. And security was good. There were so many cops and rangers walking around. And we got through pretty easily. It was $21, I believe, to get in for the two of us. And of course, we had some people that were out there screaming. What I don't understand is if they're trying to make a point about their chosen religion, instead of showing it through hate and debate and everything else and shouting with a speaker and all this stuff, why don't they just, if they really want to be there and they want to really reach out to folks, why don't you just sit there with a booth or a table and let people come to you and ask you questions and talk civilly? But it was, again, silliness. It was just silliness. And you can feel their aura and their energy. It's out of hate. And it's disgusting when people use their God or their religion in that fashion. But we ignored them and we went on in. And it was amazing right off the bat. I mean, just so many people. And but very organized. And so we walked through. We grabbed some of that Greek food. It was pretty good. And just walked and saw the sights. And, Nashville Pride, we usually go to Murfreesboro Pride because it's indoors, with air conditioning. And we really enjoy Franklin Pride. It's kind of more settled down, smaller, et cetera, et cetera. But we haven't been to Nashville Pride, I want to say, in 3-4 years. I think the last time we went was when Tanya Tucker was the main performer, and she came out and just did an amazing show. And I can't believe it's already been 3-4 years since that happened. But it was just really exciting, guys. There were a lot of performers. We went to one of the tents and watched a bunch of performers, and it was just so entertaining. And you see a little bit of everything. What I love to watch I love to people watch, number one, especially in my field. I'm always in airports and around people and groups of people, et cetera, et cetera. So I love people watching. But when you go to Nashville Pride, it's just huge, and you see a little bit of everything. There was several people walking around with harnesses on. There were a lot of princess type outfits where there were a lot of allies and middle-aged women that were walking around with signs that said, mom hugs, and they were all dressed up so pretty, like ballerinas or princess fairies or whatever you want to call it. And one place, they even had a petting zoo. They had like a turtle, and but you really do see a little bit of everything. I love to people watch, so I love to watch what the next generation is doing. So you really can see a little bit of everything, but I love watching the kids because the kids bring a fresh take into everything. And so I love to watch what they're dressing as and whatnot. And what I noticed is a lot of the kids were wearing a lot of glitter on their face, but also large stickers. And so that was kind of interesting to see. It seemed like a lot of the youngsters were doing that. And so that was fun. There were a lot of vendors, just a little bit of everything. There were people that were selling fans and merch, but there was a lot of people that were giving free stuff away too. You can always find a lot of tchotchkes as you're going from table to table. Most of the stuff that you saw was stickers and fans, stuff like that. But there was some really neat stuff being given away. One table, the Canada table, we went up to, she had these really cool round fans, and I guess that's making kind of a hit with the festivals because we've seen them before, and I'm sure they're being, mass ordered to give away for free, but they're cheapy little things, but they work really well. Most times when you go to a Pride event or a festival, they give you those, those church fans where it's on the popsicle stick with the cardboard. We call them funeral fans down here. And they work. They're great. They work. But these round fans were like easier to hold and they work just as well. I'm a big time sweater. You guys know on the show that I've said it before, that I just profusely sweat. I'm allergic to the South. I'm allergic to humidity. And so when I'm out in it for long periods of time, it just puts a damper on things for me. And I really try to not let it. But it was just awful. It was sticky and sweaty and hot. It was just awful. But we tried to make the boat, most of it. We only bought a 3-hour pass on our parking spot. And so we had the phone set with a timer and knew when we had to get going. And we actually left just slightly earlier than that. But they had stations everywhere for cocktails, water. There were people with EMS and, people that had heat exhaustion, etc. So they really think things through with large crowds, and they do it so well every year. It's really turned into a big thing, and so there were quite a lot of vendors. Now, they changed the rules. When you are a vendor, and we've done this several times at different festivals and prides, they make you do a twofer. You have to do Saturday and Sunday. And we can't man a church booth on a Sunday. And so we sat out a lot of times for the big Nashville Pride because we just don't have anyone to run it for us. We're busy on Sundays at church, and so we couldn't man it. But this year I heard last minute they changed the rule, and you don't have to do both days. And so if we would have known that early on, we definitely would have had a Pride booth this year in the main Nashville Pride because they don't make you do the second day. So that's something that we're going to look into for next year. And we take days off, years off. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't. I've had a private booth a couple times for Movember Cancer Men's Awareness. And that's a lot of fun as well, but it's a full day, especially being outside. You just sweat through your clothes, and it's just uncomfortable. And so we don't do it every year because it takes a lot out of you, especially if you're not used to the weather or can't handle it. I've had several heat strokes through my lifetime, and I can't stand humidity, and once I start sweating, I can't stop sweating, and it makes me ill. So I came home not feeling well and started trying to drink some Gatorade and get a lot of water in me and flush it through, but I'm kind of out of it for the rest of the day when we do a festival. But we were having some tornado and weather, warnings here tonight in Nashville. So I said, I'm going to rest now that we get home and figure things out and eat and everything. And then I'm going to go out before the storm and cut the yard. So I mowed the grass and came in and tried to calm down a little bit before I showered. And now I'm just sitting back, relaxing, looking at all these great pride pictures and all the video clips that everyone's sharing on social media. A lot of the news channels are showing their stuff as well. And Nashville Pride is posting stuff. The Tennessean has already posted some video clips. And so it's always great to see that no matter where you stand religiously or politically, that everyone kind of comes together for this, and it's just a great big party. But you know me, I'm always inquisitive. And so I went to the comments on the Tennessean post, and my goodness, the hate in this red state, y'all. The hate, and for people to be so close-minded and so evil through their religion, saying that their God would certainly punish those that are sinning, etc., etc. And I wanted to say, well, you're sinning right now by spewing hate. It's so hypocritical and disgusting. I allowed myself to scroll through about 20 comments, and it was so vulgar and just a lot of incompetent comments. And I want to tell them, do y'all have teeth? Because you ain't typing like you've got teeth. Grammar mistakes and punctuation, etc. It's just such a letdown, y'all. And these are the people that I live around and go to the store and eat at restaurants around. It's really, really disappointing. Especially being in 2026, you would think that it would be a little more supportive. Because, we're supporting them constantly every day. Constantly every day. There was one gentleman that made a comment, how disgusting to see two people of the same sex kiss. And I thought, well, love is love. Do you not kiss your son or your nephew? It's just gross how they say it turns their stomach. Let me tell you, sometimes we're eating dinner and I'll look over and someone's smooching, these straight people, and God bless them, they're everywhere. But you just go, oh, how nice. They're in love and they're kissing. And thank goodness that they feel comfortable enough to do that in public. And, but sometimes it just kind of takes me by surprise, because every once in a while you'll see one holding hands or sitting on the same side of the table at a restaurant, a same-sex couple. And you just go, aw, yay, brave and cute. Love is love. And that's the way it should be. It should just be human compassion. Wouldn't that be easy and simple if we just deleted everything else? The gentleman outside the gates that was screaming, holding his Bible and just screaming and carrying on like a little short king bantam. He was just carrying on like a little tiny chicken. And I just wanted to scream back for about 2 seconds. I wanted to bring down my IQ and spring, just do something. And then I thought, you know what? All he's doing is showing his hateful heart. And it's a disappointment when you see a grown man show how incompetent he is. It was just so disappointing. Now, yes, he's entitled as a human to have his opinion, but you could just feel the judgment and hate. Plus, he was mixing it with his God and his religion. Ew, there is nothing worse. I wanted to shout out when he was saying, God will punish. I wanted to say, not my God. My God made me this way and sent me here to be a very faggoty, feminine, brown-skinned, dark guy that's just as gay as can be. And that's where I am in my life now. I'm going to be 52 in a little bit, and I'm just kind of to the point where it's not hurtful. I know who I am and what I know and what I don't know, but it's not hurtful anymore. It's just more disappointing. And then you kind of feel pity for them because they're so set with their closed mind, mind and their ideas, that it's just kind of disgusting. But we didn't let it, spoil our day. We got through it. We knew they were going to be there. We're, in the Bible Belt, And so we're in a red state, we're in the South, so we knew that there were going to be some very hateful people there. But once you get through and the music starts and there's all kinds of, great people dressed up and just showing their pride, it's so much fun, so beautiful. And y'all, there were so many allies there. We saw full hetero couples and kids and families just walking around being supportive, spending money, partying with all of us, and it was heartwarming. So even though we had to deal with absolute disgust, trying to get in line and listen to that, but once we got in, it felt like a safe place, and it was so much fun. It tried to rain on us a little bit. There were some sprinkles here and there, which felt kind of good. And but it never poured. We didn't get rained out or anything like that. And guys, the vendors, it was so much fun. Each vendor is so creative. There were people selling handmade items. There were other people selling, food and cookies and treats. And then there were other people that were just showing artwork and crocheted pieces of art. And just, it blows your mind how creative our community is and our allies. We had one gentleman that had up all kinds of 8x10 paintings of just superstars. And it was just like, wow, look at the talent. It just blew my mind. We did enjoy our food. I did stop and get a frozen lemonade, and it was really yummy and really needed. And those filtered water stations were a godsend. On the website, it told you what to bring, and it said bring, reusable water canisters. And so we took our water cans with us and got to fill those up several times. And we had some Gatorade Zero powder, and we poured those in just to, help us with the sweating. And laughed and giggled and carried on. Our friend Anthony is so humorous and just such a bright light. He's in his 30s, and so he was saying, y'all don't act your age, because we're in our 50s. And we just get so along with him, and he makes us laugh with his one-liners. He's just so funny and fun to be around. So we were around some good folks, and even though a lot of people were either busy or working and just couldn't make it, a lot of people are going through some personal problems and didn't join us, but it's okay. It's okay. Who was there, and we had a great time. Of course, we missed everybody, but we had a really good time. If you're ever in Nashville, or Middle Tennessee, as we say, for the month of June, I really recommend that you hit one of our prides. We have several, guys, I'm not joking, even though we're Bible Belt, Red South state here, Republican state, we have several pride festivals. There's a bunch that happen, way out through West Tennessee, Memphis, etc. And then Middle Tennessee, we have a bunch of little mini prides all over. And then Knoxville and Sevierville and east side of the state, they can really throw down a big party too. And so if you're ever in Tennessee during all these pride events, I would tell you that it is so worth it and so much fun. You can't beat a $10 ticket for a festival. I think that's very, very cheap. I would have paid way more if they would have said, $30 to get in. I still would have paid it. It's just so much fun. Plus, it's nice that, it's catered to my community and the people that support us, allies and whatnot. And so if you ever can, I hope you come down here for Pride. It's a good time. It's very unique and different from most prides, and so that's what makes it kind of special as well. But I don't want to rattle on about this. I just wanted to share that it was a lot of fun, and I hope that you can go next year. And if you see me, come over and say howdy. There were a bunch of people there that were supporting podcasters and dancers and everyone that performs. We have so much talent here. And it was just a really, really great, heartwarming time. I'm so glad I went, even though I sweated half my life away. It was so, so worth it. Let me know if you're going to Pride wherever you live in the comments. I'd love to hear what your plans are. I know that there's a huge festival going on the 1st, but it's probably a week type of celebration up in Canada. And I know I have a lot of Canadian listeners. So I want to say, happy Canada Day, and you guys have a great time up there. Maybe, who knows, someday I'll be able to come up and celebrate with y'all. I always said that I was going to live in Victoria Island or close to Bouchard Gardens. I love it out there. And then I always said, Toronto has such a big gay community. I'd love to live up in Toronto. I love cold weather, and y'all have just the prettiest places. And so I always said I wanted to go to Toronto, but I don't know if we could get in just saying that we're gay and want to leave this country. I don't know if we get in. I know you have to have a certain amount of money and credentials and talent in the medical field, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know if we could just say, can we come on over because we're queer? But we always said for years and years that we were going to move to Toronto to retire. But now we're looking at maybe 8 years more flying for me. I want to probably go up to 60. And then we're going to look at, Greece and Italy, Spain, Portugal, and just figure it out. We're going to have to start going on, some big, long visits. And between now and the next 8 years of me flying, and figure it out where we want to go and what we want to do. We might even, buy someplace before retirement and go out for a few months stretch and see what happens. But those of you that are listening internationally, you guys, you don't know what it does to me. It just makes me giggle that people are listening from all over the world, and I so appreciate it. There are people listening from Germany and Taiwan and down under in New Zealand and Australia. And my number one fans besides the country where I live, the United States, is Canada. Canada always gives me the most downloads. And so I really, really, really appreciate you guys. This has been the greatest hobby. What a great surprise. I love talking about my life and just, doing the show unedited. So it's just more like a talk show or a conversation. If you have ideas about the show, I'd love to hear from you. Give me an email, thesaycoshow@writeme.com. And we have a phone number in the studio for the podcast, 615-805-4363. And if you want to send me something, this is the first time I'm going to say this. Just give me a minute here and let me figure it out. Let's see. It is SayCo Alford, last name Alford, P.O. Box 2214. That's in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. And the zip code is 37070. So if you want to write me some snail mail, there's the address for you. I want to hear from y'all because, like I say, this is your show. You're the listener. If you have comments about a certain show, I'd love to hear them. And if you have ideas for another show, I'd love to hear that as well, because I want my listeners to be happy. And so if you have an idea for a topic, you just let me know. I was speaking to a buddy of mine that just wrote a song, and he said as soon as he gets, he's been on the show before, Anthony Wade, and so he said as soon as he gets it recorded and mixed and whatnot, he's going to work on it, and he's going to premiere it on my show. So we're looking forward to that, and I'll keep you guys posted with updates and when all that is going to go down. A lot of people have written in and said that they really enjoyed Travis Dean and the conversation that we had about his new single. which I know is going to do good things. It's going to save lives. So if you haven't listened already, go and listen to the Travis Dean Spotlight musical show, because it turned out really, really well. And I love doing those musical spotlights. I think they're a lot of fun, and it's something that we'll, do, periodically here. All right, guys, I don't want to ramble. I hope you're doing great, and I'll talk to you later.